Chapter 33-Year-Old Couple 14. The album was finally released a month ago and sold very well. Taekyung's standards have always been consistent. Of course, his voice cannot be overused. The real Minam has undergone many years of training, and in this aspect, he perfectly compensates for Taekyung's shortcomings. Director An's mood was much better, and he was not so cold towards Minam. And Jel, three people were actually very easy to soften their hearts. During the new album's release period, he worked hard to promote it, and had almost as much work as the three of them. After starting to prepare for the performance, he also actively cooperated with the director's arrangements, and even gave many constructive ideas. They all knew that the director was completely oppressing him. After this, he would find a reason to kick him out of group. But he still tried. Looking at this face that looked like Go Mineo, they could no longer maintain their aloof and indifferent feelings. Although they couldn't be as intimate as three people, their relationship with Minam gradually eased a lot. This kind of moderate relationship was actually common in celebrity groups, and Minam was very satisfied with this state. Nan Hoa only watched their group affairs without saying anything. Even if Jeremy sometimes told her everything, she would not really interrupt to suggest him to do anything. Director An could not possibly see group collapse, nor would he easily give up on the member. After all, from the very beginning of their most difficult period, watching these three people go from naive boys to now shining superstars, the company also used this to continuously develop and grow. His feelings towards them were different. But she actually hoped that there would be a Go Minam like him to share the existence of their team. Taekyung's burden was too heavy, from composing music to album production. The whole journey of participating, and then often acting was too tiring. Objectively speaking, with Minam, Taekyung's voice would indeed get time to recuperate, and the two of them would also feel much lighter. This was actually a good thing for those who simply loved music but had to become artists like them. Just like that, a few months passed, the movie was approaching the end. She received the group performance ticket. She increased filming progress, almost the last few performances were all finished in one go, finally continuously speeding up the speed, chasing the performance before the closing. Even the director jokes, knowing that Love's power was so strong, he should have put the previous few performances in a series, so that he could save lots of film. She was embarrassed to say. The same day performance, she arrived backstage. The dressing room was in a hurry but not chaotic to give the four people makeup to change clothes. Taekyung sat in front of the mirror, surrounded by a few individuals. However, he was still the first to discover her. The two people in the mirror faced each other. "I found out, your eye lines are more exaggerated than mine." His smile when he saw her immediately disappeared. She burst out laughing. The makeup artists quickly finished. For their own physical and mental health, they left these two people. He stood up, glared at her, and walked to the sofa to sit down. The whole person exuded an "I'm not happy, come and coax me" aura. She walked over, sat down close to him, pinched his ears, and couldn't help but laugh. What a big head, so cute. He rolled his eyes, reached out and grabbed her cheeks to the sides. Childish fairy. In the future, you still dare not say big head? She covered his hand to prevent him from pulling. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Big head. He snorted, withdrew his hand, and pulled her neck into his chest. He looked at her two cheeks, both red, and kissed the place where he pinched her. Everyone present had a toothache expression and covered their eyes. This large patch of pink was really blinding. Shinwoo quietly put away his phone and smiled as he passed the message. Waiting for the fans to go on stage and see Shinwoo's video, they all exploded. They were backstage. At this moment, they were not far from them. Their 3-year-old couple was actually showing off their love. It's been a long time since they saw the couple spreading sugar. It was so painful and happy. Especially the couple fans, they were all going crazy, wanting to rush backstage. Of course, Hwang Taekyung on his body was tightly stuck with the Hwang 3-year-old label, and in the end it couldn't be torn off. Everything proceeded very normally, just like a normal performance. At most, there was a group leader showing off some love before the opening, making everyone's mouths full of dog food. The show quickly began. Nan Hoa followed the staff to sit down on her own position, sat down after, she just discovered, herself this seems to be VIP middle VIP position? Opposite the stage, the space is very large, the view is also very good. Sitting down not long, next to the wall came a short-haired female student, saw Nan Hoa looking towards her, immediately returned a full-force smile. Nan Hoa was also infected to return a big smile. The show began, the four people on stage sang and danced, performing a classic Angel song. Many times, she could hear the fans below singing a chorus, even including this year's newly released songs. She looked at Hwang Tae-kyung on stage. At this moment he seemed to be emitting light, covering everyone's existence, making her eyes only see him sparkling. She also seemed to be fascinated by him, waving her arms together with the fans behind her, singing and screaming together. During the performance, when the team member was performing alone, she discovered that the short-haired female student beside her was also emitting light when looking at Shinwoo. She occasionally glanced back and discovered that this girl's eyes had never left Kang Shin-woo the entire time. Thinking of Hwang Tae-kyung saying that this place is for their team members to reserve tickets, she looked towards the central stage immersed in Kang Shin-woo's performance. Perhaps, the gentle and dark Shin-woo, spring also wants to come? The performance was approaching the end time, the song that she was extremely familiar with, but the others had never heard before rang out. Nan Hoa looked towards the stage in shock. Hwang Tae-kyung stood at the central stage, the other three people in the dark place were playing background music for him. Nan Hoa seemed to have a feeling, silently looking at the opposite person performing affectionately. The two rays of light respectively hit her and him, the entire venue seemed to only have the two of them left. Behind, there were waves of shrill screams, but she could not hear anything except Hwang Tae-kyung's singing. On the stage, between him and her slowly lit up a passage, two people followed, and he had a bunch of roses in his hand. He walked along that passage, singing while slowly walking towards her. At the moment when he was one step away from her, the song came to an end. Fairy, Yoo Hee. Day 268, I saw you. He revealed a happy smile. That's right, today, no matter how dark the stage was, he was still able to accurately find her in the darkness. From the first time I said I like you, I decided that I wanted to be with you forever. Until now, my heart has not changed. Fairy, I love you, marry me. He, in the midst of the shrill screams that almost shook the entire hall, slowly knelt down, from the rose, took out a diamond ring, and looked at her with anticipation. She looked at him, although he walked all the way, confessed, and knelt down, looking very handsome, but his hand holding the diamond ring was trembling, his lips were also tightly pursed, anxiously waiting for her answer. She smiled, not making things difficult for him, and extended her hand towards him. He immediately put away his nervousness, and let out an extremely happy smile, his eyes also sparkling. He quickly put the ring on her ring finger, stood up, and excitedly hugged her around and around. She hugged his neck, laughing and shouting, I love you too. The audience had not yet left the stage. Hwang Tae-kyung successfully proposed to Yoo Hee News had already become the hot search title. Not only that, possessing the hottest topic, at least 6 of the top 10 topics were related to them, it was truly a national hot trend. The performance was successful and the celebration banquet was held. After the banquet, Hwang Tae-kyung and Nan Hoa returned to her room together. Tonight, his eyes were sparkling all night, and his expression was not cold or indifferent. Is it that happy? Big fool Hwang? He sat on the sofa, hugging her and swaying back and forth. Aren't you happy? You dare not be happy? She burst out laughing, you shouldn't be so happy too soon. Even though I agreed, you still have to get my parents' and brother's consent first. He stiffened there motionless, suddenly stood up his body too, you cannot play dirty, ah. You are in front of 50,000 people to promise me. She looked at his nervous appearance laughing to death, deliberately shrugged, that's right, I promised, but my family people have not met you yet, also have not expressed too much for your view. You must know that from ancient times to the present, family view is also very important. For example, the Western Romeo and Juliet, you said right. He heard her say that, only then did he realize that it was true, so he didn't feel happy about the successful proposal, and he urgently called to ask about the itinerary time, and what to do when he met the girl's family. She looked at him nervously, but also funny and warm. Her heart felt warm.